My name's Merit. I am a behaviour support specialist for Autism Sussex. I've been with the organisation for about 2 years now, supporting families and individuals who are on the autistic spectrum. Autism is a lifelong developmental disorder which is characterised by social communication difficulties. Sometimes referred to as the triad of impairments. It's difficulties with social communication, imagination and interaction. People who are on the autistic spectrum typically have a high need for routines, they like familiar things, they need a sense of security, and often people on the autistic spectrum have some associated learning difficulty. The autistic spectrum is a spectrum, so you get people who are all very different to each other. You're unlikely to find two people who are the same or whose autism impacts on them in the same way. Many people with autism have sensory integration difficulties, so they struggle to process their environment. So things that would be quite simple for us to do are very difficult for them to cope with. Often lights, noises, smells, touch can be very difficult for them to process, and they see things in a way that's very different to the way that we do. One way to help people balance their sensory needs is by having sensory equipment available for them, which is why we're fundraising for a sensory room at the moment. Things like calm spaces, calm noises, music can all be really beneficial to people to help manage their anxieties about being in the environment and how they process them. The people that we support, they have very limited ways of communication. Often they have very little control over their lives, so using a sensory room can often give them choices about how they
Hello, my name's Juliet and I'm the service manager based here in Brighton, and I work for Autism Sussex. We've got our wonderful building here at Carlton Hill, which is where we run our day service, and then we have about 35 people who Autism Sussex supports in the Brighton community with autism, and they do various things. We go around and help them in their daily lives, help them in their homes, work with them to develop their skills, and all those things that they really want to do to move their life on. And we have this wonderful building as a base, which we've been in now for about a year. We're developing what we offer here. It's a really good site, a fantastic view down to the sea, and people really enjoy coming here. It's a work in progress. We want it to become a community centre where people can come and use the resources that we've got here, not just those service users that we support, but potentially other people within the local community. Develop our sensory room, which is particularly important for people on the autism spectrum. We haven't really got anything in there at the moment, but it's a quiet space where people go, they can sit, they can be away from the main hall area with other people, which is very, very important to people on the autism spectrum, that they have somewhere where they can go and be quiet and relax and get away from all of the noise and the sensory interference from everyone else. So we have this room, and that's what we're really looking to build on, and we've come up with a wish list, if we like, with the help with some of our service users, of things that would be really, really useful for us to have there. And the idea is that if we are able to create a space that works really well for people on the autism spectrum, then we'd like to be able to utilise that space for other people as well, that perhaps live in the Brighton area, who maybe children that have autism, but their parents don't have access to any of those facilities and would like to come to Carlton Hill to use that at different periods in time. So that's kind of what we're aiming for, and obviously that's what we hope to get some help with. So thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm a service user at Autism Sussex, and I'm on the autism spectrum. I come to Autism Sussex. I'm go out in the community outreach. I do cooking in the kitchen, and I like to sort of like fundraise for autism awareness, because obviously fundraising for Autism Sussex is important for me, because you know, getting stuff for the sensory room and things like that. So it's important that we fundraise. how autism affects me is that I get quite anxious. I have to have routine, because obviously when I don't know what is happening, I get quite anxious with like routine. So I need to know in advance what's going on. Sometimes in my life I get quite upset. I get really sort of anxious about things that go on in my head, and there's times that, you know, there hasn't been, like you said, there hasn't been a lack of understanding, and we need to spread the word autism a little bit more, because it's people still miss, people still miss, you know, the diagnosis, and you know, it's these days now it's very hard to get a diagnosis of, you know, on the autism spectrum. I do remember, I remember growing up thinking, oh yeah, my parents told me that I had autism and things like that. So I thought, I've kind of got used to it now, kind of like, you know, I get better in life, but it does take quite a lot of time to sort of, you know, just get back to myself and things like that.
So this is the space we've outlined for our sensory room. As you can see, there's not too much in here at the moment, but if you could just visualise that because of the size of the room, the ceilings are much lower than the rest of the building. It could be a really good space, and it's quiet. The walls have actually already been, have got a quiet sort of, screening, so it's a much quieter room than the rest of the building. And it could be really, really good. So we aim to have different lighting, we want some music, different furnishings, and it's become the space. Why we chose this is the space that our service users have naturally migrated to when they want to be away from everybody else. So it's almost like they've chosen this space, which is why, you know, we're choosing to develop it. And the other issue with it is it's got an outside entrance. So if we do open it up to people outside, it could be that people are able to come and use this part of the building without actually having to come into the main area where we have our service delivery. So it's also actually quite an area that's cordoned off from the rest of the hall. So it could be really good. We just you know, need a little bit of help to sort of realise the vision that we've got for this particular